Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing really well and preparing for your CMA examination. And all the best for your CMA examination, which you're going to do it as early as possible based on your testing time. So now in this chapter, systems development and data analytics. First of all, this is a new addition to the syllabus for those students who were asking me that what exactly is the new addition. So this is one of that chapter. Now here, what we would be doing is nothing but basically what we would be doing is nothing but integrating a system into an organization integrating a system into an organization. Now, how are we going to do that? How is technology going to be doing? How is technology going to be a picture in here? What all you guys need to understand? See, me basically while I was doing my CMA, I did not have this in my syllabus. But in the past few years, we were going through this continuing professional education. And in that, we have gone through lots and lots of data analytics learning. We have been through blockchain learning. We've understood what's artificial intelligence. There are many sessions as such which we have attended. And that is the reason why I'm highly confident in teaching and training you students on these technology enabled finance transformation, big data, analytics of this big data. So real time experience, I'll be very happy to, share that with you. Make sure that, you have proper understanding with it and make notes out of it. I would be sharing some case studies, examples. Make sure that that's there in your mind, because if you remember it with a case study and example, you'll understand it much better rather than just reading it from over. All right. So now, what exactly is technology enabled finance transformation? As you can see here, systems development life cycle. Now what exactly happens here? See, there is one organization. You can name any organization, like suppose I can see any educational institution or any school college as such. Now what does a school college do? A school college would be taking regular classes. When they are taking regular classes, there would be classrooms available there. In that classroom they will be taking classes. There's no technology required as such in a major format. But what happens is there would be on and off changes towards development. Now whatever development is going to happen in the environment, according to that, every school or college must develop also, or any organization must also develop according to the changing environment. So what happens in let's take an example, a school or a college. In this complete chapter we can understand it. First of all, we will understand that does the organization require a system or a structure which has to be changed. Now, we all know few months back, because of the pandemic, there was a complete structure system changing across schools, colleges. And what was that is classes are going to be online. Now, when classes are going to be online, the systems which they were having previously, those systems and all systems in the sense, the process of working had to be changed. Now, when the process of working had to be changed, then a new system was required to be implemented. That is nothing but system strategy requires understanding the organization's needs. Now, what was the need of the organization? That they should be enabled with taking online classes so that the organization runs and everybody has their own understanding about it. Now, what happened in those days is nothing but we understood that the systems were requiring these things. Then intimation about the process and systems and the proposals were assessed. In fact, if you can understand that what is the exact process, there was no answer, because every organization had their own understanding about it. They had their own business process. They wanted their own business process to be there in a system. That was the biggest challenge. Then what happened is they had an in-house development, a unique information like how does your organization run, how do you take into consideration about your students, how do you take into consideration about your business process, staff, etc., etc. And then there were packages also available in the market. Out of common needs, if a particular industry or a particular business, out of that there were common things which were there, through which people were developing their softwares and keeping it ready off the shelf to be sold. And then later on would be their maintenance and support, involving systems changing, user needs, feedback, as such. Now understand this: what you are doing is nothing but integrating, or you are developing a complete system process software for an organization. Now as a finance guy, why do you need to know this? Is because what happens, the main part in a system software of a complete organization, their main point would be what is with the finance side. How is the transaction going to happen? How is the transaction going to be recorded? Like suppose in a finance side, suppose if a sale is happening, then only you need to have a software which can say that okay, the sale has happened, now you can dispatch the goods. So how do you have that at the back end? That is the question. So now you as a finance guy needs to have that knowledge. Now there is always a feedback system about in developing this system. You can see here, if anything more is required from the user, organizational needs, as you can see there, with the organizational needs, this is the main point which you need to understand. How do you have to develop a system is as per the organization's needs. Now, the phases and components setup of a traditional system development. Now, how do they do is nothing but they initially come up with what is the need, or are they requiring any need of a new system. Who is requiring? Is the organization requiring it? And then what will happen is they will have a formal proposal for a new system about the IT steering to the IT steering committee, that what exactly do they want, what are the challenges which they are facing right now. Like suppose I had a challenge previously that how where should I upload my videos, how should I keep it encrypted. That is a big challenge for me. So what I understood after requiring my needs is nothing but I can upload all my videos on YouTube, and then later on I can unlist it, or I can keep it private, and I can share those videos only with whom I want to. So that is an understanding about it, and then comes okay, how you need to go ahead with it. Now, describing the need application will affect. Now, feasibility studies are conducted to determine what technology the new system will require, what economic resources must be committed to the new system, how the new system will affect current operations. Now, as I've been saying in the previous classes also, that you people, like suppose there is an organization and there's a system to be developed. Now, when a system is to be developed, there would be programmers developing the video, there would be programmers developing the software, and they would be coding that software. You will be at the front end, the programmers would be at the back end. Now when you are at the front end, you would be as a functional consultant of that organization, which will say that how the process must flow, how the storage, how the data element should be there, how should a report be seen, what is feasible, what is understandable, because these all information will be used to influence, or would be used to understand and make the investor come in and put in money. That's the main deal coming in right now. So now you would be showing how a report should be made, what exactly are the components, elements of the report as such. Now comes your system conceptual design. Now, who is going to design this is nothing but you people who are having finance knowledge, you people who are having business knowledge. See, finance and business who understand, they understand what is a business process. Now, business process, let me term it down into a more proper way. You can understand how we can create a business model, how we can create a business model. Now once you understand that how a business model is created, according to that business model we understand that how is the structure going to happen. Suppose in a business model there would be, if you are doing a sale, that sale must be in cash sale only. If you want to do a sale on credit, then there must be required people, or required sale which is exceeding some amount, then we can talk about credit terms. And when it is talking about credit terms, we have a credit policy in place stating that whenever a transaction has to happen, you need to pay us 50% in advance, and then 30% after the work is done, after the half work is done,
and the balance 20% when the work is done. So as such, what you are doing is nothing but you're conceptualizing a design, you're conceptualizing a flow which has to go on. Now, what happens here? You would be making data flow diagrams. You would be understanding where the elements are to be put, where are the databases. Logical understanding about business would be done in this conceptualizing. So what happens? Even physical design involves, if suppose you require some hardware or as such in an organization to use this particular software, then also that would be recommended from the programmer side, and then you as a finance and a purchasing department and decision makers should approve it. Then building and development. What happens here? The actual program code, what happens in this is nothing but is used in a new system. It is written by the programmers. Now hardware is acquired if it is required, and then it would be assembled. Then comes one, major point where maximum of the systems are understood whether they can run properly or not, and that is nothing but your testing and your quality control, QC. Now what happens is, in testing of this, you could see what is the requirement of the user, what is the requirement of the client. Are we according to the requirement of the client or not? If yes, then we can go ahead. If not, then what is the error, what is the bug out there, can you solve that out or not? Now, is the system meeting the requirement that's guided? Does the system respond correctly to all kind of inputs, perform its function within acceptable time, achieve the general results its stakeholder desire? Now these are the things which you would be taking into consideration. Now, although the number of possible tests to apply is almost limitless, developers cannot test everything. Combination. Now, how, as you people understand audit and understand finance, you guys need to understand this, that it cannot be that you run the system and there is no error at all. Not possible. There will be errors. There would be something like, suppose you are running the complete system. Now there would be some problem in the invoice, maybe some problem in the report of any financial consequence or any financial report you're making. There would be an error out there. What you need to do is nothing but you need to communicate that to the programmers who are there at the back end, so that they can solve out that issue. So if there is a person who is developing the system, he is not only done after the system is complete, he has to keep on giving you proper external support, so that if there is any bug, there is any error as such, they can come and solve that out. now now these are the following methods of testing. One is static testing, is nothing but you check the code at the behind of me at the back end. You check the code, how is it typed down, how is it made. And then would be a dynamic testing, where the executing of the program code, and then there would be set of test cases. Then there is white box testing. Now what they do here is nothing but the internal structures or working of a program is tested, and the functionality is exposed to the end user. Then comes black box testing. Now black box is nothing but you are not having the knowledge, without any knowledge of the source code programming as such. You would be just as a user, you are just a user, end user over there, and you are trying to use it. Is it user friendly or not, or is it working well or not? That is black box testing. Then comes gray box testing. Now what happens in gray box is nothing but you are having the knowledge of the program and internal structures, and also the algorithms, you know it. Now what you do is nothing but you are keen over there to understand if there is any problem or a bug in it, so that you can catch hold of it and solve it soon. Now there are four levels of testings you can see here. First comes with unit testing, refers to the test that verify the functionality, workability, etc. of the system. Then is the integration testing. Now suppose if the software is integrated, like suppose there is one hypermarket, a hypermarket, the software is integrated with a hardware in such, if you go to a counter with paying some goods which you have taken, the hardware will scan all the products which you are purchasing, and that will update it in the input. Now once that is updated, it is integrated right now with the hardware and software. Is this integration fine or not? You are testing with that integration also. Then comes with the systems testing, is nothing but end to end meets of the system, is it fine or not? Then comes acceptance testing. Now acceptance testing is more of, you would present it in front of that person who is going to purchase the system. It is nothing but your client for whom you are developing this system. Is he accepting it? Because once he accepts the test, then would be implementation of that software. Now you can see here, see acceptance here comes in. If the once the IT persons demonstrate the product to the client, and if the client is accepting it, then comes installation of that. Now how you can install it is nothing but you can install it with a parallel operation. Means the old system will also be running, you would come up with a new system. Whereas if suppose if it is a direct changeover, is nothing but you can shut down the present system and put just install the new system in place. Now in system, other next would be a pilot conversion. One at a time, one branch at a time, it would be changing, and then it would be phased conversion, which is also possible. One function of the new system at a time is placed in the operation. The advantage of this strategy is that users will be able to learn one part of the system at a time, because the person who is going to implement the person who is going to use it on a daily basis, they need to understand the system in a proper way so that they don't find any problem. And then comes the most critical part, that's nothing but training those users, because training those users would be like us, people like us who are financial consultants or functional consultants. What we would be doing is nothing but we would be using that system left and right, roughly we would be using that systems. So if we are using those softwares and systems, we need to have proper understanding of it. If we understand it better, then only, see that we could not understand it better, that is also the reason why the syllabus is getting added on here, so that you learn it right now itself. And understand this part of this syllabus is so much important. You would be paid really high once you understand this, setting up of the system, understanding the backend process, understanding how the programmers are working rather than what the programmers are doing, understanding what they are doing, and integrate work with them rather than opposing their work. Integrate with them, because the biggest problem what happens in businesses is, you want the business process to go fast. You know what is the business process. Now if the business process has to go fast, it has to be integrated with IT. So for that you need to understand IT and the business process. If you understand these both, then what happens is, then you are highly valued in the market. Then comes operations and maintenance, systems follow up, post audit procedures. How, is there any problem or not? Every year, every 6 months, or every quarterly, you would be checking the system and understanding it. Now program change controls is nothing but understanding how they were working before, then now how they are working now. What is the programmer doing? Is there any particular changes? What are the changes? Do they have to do those changes regularly or not, etc, etc, that would be going on. Then, is it end user computing or is it centralized computing? Now end user computing, it would be more of, end to end people, the ground level people or the operational level people would be taking into it. Now certain environmental control risks are more likely in end to end user, as you can see here. Now, unauthorized access to application programs and related data is another concern. Moreover, EUC may not have adequate backup, recovery, and contingency planning. The result may be inability to create. As you can see there, it would be a problem out there. Now, moving forward, you can see EUC applications. Then it is also there as your centralized computing. Centralized computing, it would have larger systems because there would be one person or one particular authoritative person who would be taking decisions for all and understanding how the system and the strategy must go on. All right, so this is how it is, and this we'll do this last topic and then we'll stop for questions. Business process analysis and design. Now here, this is again coming towards from the start. Understanding what is the business process, how is the analysis of it, and then designing a designing a software out of it. Now determine whether current systems support organizational goals. Determine the needs unmet by current systems. See, if there is a problem in the current system, then only the new system will come into place. Determine the capacity of current systems to accommodate projected growth. Propose a path for information system deployment to achieve organizational goals within budgetary constraints. It's nothing but, if suppose you are having that into the budget, then only you can take it forward. I hope you guys are understanding that how this complete process is going on. Now, in the early days, these automated systems were not there. They were hardware, software were very expensive. Systems were intended to design a single process. Whereas right now it has changed completely. It is easily available. ERPs are there, easily available. Now, how do you understand what business wants? Is nothing but you go through a reverse process. Sorry, business process re-engineering. You sit down and understand that what exactly is the requirement. You start from zero. You would see, okay, this is also required, that is also required, and then develop a process out of it. All right, so now we'll stop here, we'll pause here and take questions from the students who are there right now. All right, so if you're watching this recording, the video is done, look out for the next video and make sure that you subscribe this channel too.